welcome back. We have Jeff Parker here from the weekend, so hopefully you had a good weekend. Thanks for joining us today.
Good morning, Lisa. Thank you.
So you've got some numbers to share with us, and boy, I'm happy to say things look a little better.
They do. We say Orange County had a good weekend in the sense that some of the numbers were lower than what they've been and what we're seeing in other counties. So that's good news. So start off with these are yesterday's numbers, 415 cases, positive cases, 6,000 tests.
Wow.
So that's good in the sense of a percentage. 0 deaths.
Yay.
That's really good
great,
news.
yes.
Laguna Woods numbers at 34 still.
Okay.
So that really hasn't changed. So that's good as well. And one of the positive things is that we're seeing the kind of the stabilization, if not just a small drop in the hospital utilization. Not a significant one. I don't want to get everybody going yay.
Yeah.
But yesterday's 665 with 214 in ICU. There's on the chart right there is a good example of some information with regards to the percentages testing positive. Again, this is a 3-day running average, not just yesterday. So again, we're still above 13% in that positive test rate. So we want to see that get down below 10%, or in fact 8% by their standards.
Oh look, and they have choices down below. That's
yeah,
great. So when did this change? Just this weekend?
They've just added this additional information. So it's really good. So that one pointed out that minus 1.1 threshold on hospitalization. So it's down. So that's really good. And want to see that obviously continue, because what that really means is ICU beds that are available just in case will go up too.
Right, so on the upper right-hand side, the percent of ICU beds currently available is 36%. And is that all of Orange County?
Yes.
Okay, and then percent ventilators currently available. So that's actually a good number because they're not having to use the ventilators.
Exactly.
I think I had mentioned on Friday that I had spoken to a couple of doctors over here from Memorial Care, and they know so much more about how the disease is affecting people now that they aren't having to intubate them nearly as much.
So important, because that's such an invasive action and actually can cause multiple problems because of that, which is what they ran into earlier in the process. So
that's great. I like that.
This is a really good chart.
I like that new addition. That's wonderful.
And there's a couple other things that I wanted to mention up here that we're going to show on the slide. And here, so this is the one that it really shows you the hospitalization current activities, like I mentioned, the 665, and you can see at the very end we've had a couple of 2 or 3 days of dropping. We had one a little up and then back down, and again with regards to the ICU, kind of a little rolling curve downward. That's really good. We had that big spike about a week ago. But this is positive news, and I want to tell you positive news as much as I want to tell you the negative news. So good weekend for the county, and solid weekend for the village, because our name numbers didn't really change. So again, appreciation to everybody involved out there. Stay at home when you can. When you get out there, wear the mask and socially distance as much as possible.
And also, we were talking before the program about places that are doing a really good job of adhering to the governor's directives. So, restaurants and grocery stores and things like that are doing a fairly good job. However, if they come across one that isn't doing a good job, what's the recommendation?
Well, they can call the Orange County Health Authority, a health agency, because they're responsible for also working with the Orange County Sheriff to go out there and send recommendation to these people, let them know what the rules and the laws are. So the health agency has staff that work in the compliance side of the equation. They don't have a lot, though. Obviously, that's not where they have been. So really, they're looking for compliance from businesses based on the recommendations and the orders that are out there to self-comply. And that's what's necessary to continue.
Perfect. Well, perfect, because I guess, sometimes people are coming across maybe a grocery store that really isn't adhering to it, or even, I had mentioned, some restaurants aren't doing it either. And, it's almost like they're really taking a chance, because they can get huge fines for it.
They can. One of the other things I wanted to mention with regards to numbers, and it's up on this new charts that they have too, is that we've talked about the village being the residents here in that 55 and over at risk.
Right.
And this upper chart I thought was real important
look
because
at
this is
that.
unfortunately the death rates related to people who have gotten COVID-19. And as you can see, when you look at those charts, 55 all the way up to 85 plus, the numbers are so staggering in the sense that we see lately a lot of people in 25 to 40 years old are getting COVID, but relative to the severity, 55 and up is almost 80+% of all the people that have passed away are in that category.
Yeah.
So that's why we want the community to protect themselves, because we are at risk in that environment.
Okay,
So,
wow. This is great.
Yeah, and
Boy,
they have
really
also
done a nice job, very visual.
Yeah, and the second chart talks about the race, ethnicity that they have recorded. They don't have a lot of data there, but again, the important one I just wanted to mention, although it's very sad, is the age group, how they're affected from the death rate.
Yes, yes, and you know, like you said, the young people are getting it, but they are recovering, and hopefully that'll also sort of translate as this does potentially mutate. You know, maybe it'll mutate to something much less severe. So you never know. It's been kind of a crazy thing. Well, thank you. That's a really nice chart. And I think they've done a good job of helping us visually see stuff.
They have.
So I understand you guys have some big stuff coming up here with the directors and the boards and all that.
So we start this week with kicking off our budgetary process, what we call version 1. We're going to have our all boards presentation this morning, as you mentioned. And so we will present the overall budgets for all of the mutuals, GRF, United, and Third.
Okay.
So it's a global perspective of where we stand with the village. Part of that is also going to be a dialogue with regards to insurance, because our property insurance continues to be a problem and growing in this area. And that has a lot to do with, for those that can remember, the major Paradise fire that happened in Northern California that wiped out a community, basically. And so those property insurances all throughout California and really throughout the country, because of natural disasters, have just seen a humongous increase in the cost of property insurance and in general insurance overall. So we're having to address that. It's a very serious matter relative to the village. And at the same time, we wanted to provide all of the boards information with regards to our assessed value and where that's going, because it's gone up as well. So it's kind of like a double whammy in insurance. But at the same time, we got great direction from the boards previously while we were putting the budgets together. And so we're going to be introducing that to them today. And then GRF, Third, United, all will have independent meetings in the next week leading up to Third is the last one next Monday. So over the next week, we'll have about 4 different budget meetings individually and get through this first version, get their directive if we're going in the right direction or if they want to tweak it. And then we'll be back in August for our live meetings with regards to the budget activities.
Oh, okay. And at what point do you come out with the final budget?
It'll be in September when the boards adopt the final version. Okay. There's not a lot of change that happens between the August and September version, so really it will be the August meetings in which we'll finalize these budgets.
Okay, all right, great. Well, thank you very much for the information on the numbers as well as the budget stuff, so we'll keep an eye out for all that.
Great, thank you so much.
And when we return, I'm going to share with you some ideas of where you can learn new languages. We'll be right back.